Hello everyone, a very good morning. My name is Yogindra Kumari and I am working as an assistant professor in School of Pharmacy, Lingyas Vidyapeeth. And today we will be discussing UV visible spectroscopy. So let's start. First of all, we have to understand what is spectroscopy. The word spectroscopy is made from two words, which is spectrum and scopy. So basically, the meaning of spectroscopy is to study the interaction of electromagnetic radiations with the matter. Then comes UV radiation and electronic transitions. The energy, the wavelength range which comes in UV visible spectroscopy is 200 to 400 nanometer, whereas the range of visible spectroscopy is 400 to 800 nanometer of the spectrum. Electromagnetic radiations, and they jump from ground state to excited state, whereas emission is the process of release of energy when those electrons go again from ground state, from excited state, when the energy source is cut off. Next comes principle of spectroscopy. The principle of spectroscopy is based on the measurement of spectrum of a sample containing atoms or molecules. The spectrum is a graph which is represented on the basis of intensity of absorbed or emitted radiation by sample versus frequency, which is denoted by nu, or wavelength, which is denoted by lambda. Spectrometer is an instrument which is designed to measure the spectrum of a compound. Next is absorption spectroscopy. We have already discussed absorption spectroscopy is the spectroscopy in which we study about the absorption property of the molecules, that how the molecules have gained energy from electromagnetic radiations and jumped from ground state to excited state. It is an analytical technique which concerns with the measurement of absorption of electromagnetic radiation, a transition from low energy state to high energy state with transfer of energy from radiation to absorber. The more effectively molecule absorb light of a given wavelength, the greater will be its absorption, and the absorption spectroscopy is particularly based upon the Beer-Lambert's law. UV visible spectroscopy is also a type of absorption spectroscopy, and the principal law which we study in UV visible spectroscopy is the Beer-Lambert's law. The Beer-Lambert's law states that whenever a monochromatic radiation passes through a homogeneous solution, the absorbed light is directly proportional to the concentration of the solute particles which are present in the sample solution and the path length. It is numerically it is denoted as A equals log of I naught upon I. I naught is the intensity of incident light, I is the intensity of transmitted light, and also equals to epsilon CL. Epsilon is the constant which is called as molar absorptivity, C is concentration of the sample, L is the path length. Here is the diagram of instrumentation of UV visible spectroscopy. Firstly, we have the light source, okay. Then it goes to the monochromator. Basic principle of the monochromator is to convert polychromatic light into monochromatic light. Polychromatic light is the one which contains several different wavelengths of light, whereas monochromatic light is the one which contains only a single wavelength of light. Then it further goes to the slit, which allows only a certain amount of light to pass. Then it goes to the rotating disc. This disc separates the light into two sections. Then it goes to the mirror. One section goes to the sample slot, another goes to the reference slot. Reference slot is the one of which the spectroscopy properties are known. Then these ultimately goes to the detector, and finally the recorder or computer, which converts the signals into human understandable forms. Okay, then comes the deviations from Beer and Lambert's law. There are certain conditions under which Beer and Lambert's law works. First of all, Beer's law is valid over wide range of concentration if the structure of the colored ion or colored non-electrolyte in dissolved state does not change with concentration. Beer's law is valid only when the colored compound does not change with the concentrations. Second one is deviations may also occur if colored solute ionizes, dissociates or associates in solution. So, there might not be any reaction or dissociation, association or any ionization between the solvent and solute particles. Deviations may also occur if the impurities present in the sample have the property of fluorescence, or they may have the property of absorbing the incident radiation, then that may also cause deviation. Also, deviation may occur if monochromatic light is not used. We already discussed only monochromatic light is used in case of spectroscopy, and this is the light which contains only a single wavelength of light. Deviation may also occur if width of the slit is not proper. Therefore, this allows undesirable radiation to fall to detector. So, slit width is also a factor which have to be considered during this spectroscopy, because it have the purpose of allowing only a certain amount of light to enter into the instrumentation. So, that may also cause deviation. Deviation may occur if solution species undergoes polymerization. An example for this is benzyl alcohol in carbon tetrachloride in high concentration exists in polymeric form. Beer's law cannot be applied to suspension. This is another factor. Next is principles of spectroscopy. Second one is emission spectroscopy. First one we studied was absorption spectroscopy, in which we studied the absorption property of the matter. And in emission spectroscopy, we study how the molecules, they come from excited state to ground state and how they emit light. That property is studied in emission spectroscopy. An example for this is mass spectroscopy. Next is ours electronic transitions. So, electronic transition is basically the transition of electronic state as it goes from ground state to excited state when EMR is provided to it and they gain the energy from it. So, the transitions that are observed are sigma to sigma star transition, pi to pi star transition, n to sigma star transition, n to pi star transition, sigma to pi star transition and pi to sigma star transition. Although the UV spectrum extends below 100 nanometer, oxygen in the atmosphere is not transparent below 200 nanometer. So, special equipment to study vacuum or far UV is required. Routine organic UV spectra are typically collected from 200 to 700 nanometer, and this limits the transitions that can be observed. These are some of the examples for the transitions which we studied. This shows the regions of the electromagnetic spectrum and the different types of transitions that occur in each. So, first we will discuss sigma to sigma star transition. So, sigma bonding is something that involves the single bond, okay, which is observed in alkanes. So, sigma electrons from orbital is excited to corresponding anti-bonding orbital sigma star. The energy required is large for this transition. So, in the sigma bond, we all know sigma bond is a bond which is highly stable and which is very hard to break. So, we require very high amount of energy to break this bond. So, this amount of energy is not available in UV visible spectroscopy. So, this particular type of transition is not cannot be seen in UV visible spectroscopy. An example for this is methane has CH bond only and can undergo sigma to sigma star transition and shows absorbance maxima at 125 nanometer. So 125 nanometer is not the wavelength which comes under the UV visible region, which is 200 to 800 nanometer. So this particular type of transition is not seen in UV visible spectroscopy. Next is pi to pi star transition. This involves bonding of electrons involved in unsaturation bonds, that is double or triple bonds. Pi electron in a bonding orbital is excited to corresponding anti-bonding orbital in pi star. Compounds containing multiple bonds like alkenes, alkynes, carbonyls, nitriles, aromatic compounds, etc. undergo pi to pi star transitions. An example is alkenes generally absorb in the region 170 to 205 nanometers. So we can see a slight region is present there of UV visible spectroscopy. So this type of transition is seen in UV visible spectroscopy. Next is N to sigma star transition. This type of transition is involved in single bonds which have an heteroatom present. For example, oxygen or nitrogen or sulfur. Saturated compounds containing atoms with lone pair of electrons like oxygen, nitrogen or sulfur and halogens are capable of N to sigma star transition. These transitions usually require less energy than sigma to sigma star transitions because obviously they have the lone pair of electron and they involve n non-bonding electrons, and the number of organic functional groups with N to sigma star peaks in UV region is small, that is the region is 150 to 250 nanometer. Next is N to pi star transition. This involves the atoms which have lone pair of electrons bonded with a double bond or triple bond to another atom. An electron from non-bonding orbital is promoted to anti-bonding pi star orbital. Compounds containing double bond involving heteroatoms, for example C double bond O or C double bond N or N double bond O, undergo such transitions. And N to pi star transitions require minimum energy and show absorption at longer wavelength, around 300 nanometers. So this type of transition is usually seen in UV visible spectroscopy. Sigma to pi star transition and pi to sigma star transitions. These two transitions are forbidden transitions and are only theoretical possible. These cannot be seen practically. Therefore, N to pi star and pi to pi star electronic transitions are only seen in UV visible spectroscopy. These show absorption in the region above 200 nanometer, which is accessible to UV visible spectrophotometer, and the UV spectrum is of only a few baud of absorption. Next we have two terms, chromophores and auxochromes. Chromophores are basically the groups which are responsible for absorbing UV and visible radiations, okay, and the groups which are responsible for imparting color to the compound. The part of a molecule responsible for imparting color are called chromophores, and the functional groups containing multiple bonds capable of absorbing radiations above 200 nanometer, which are covered in the transitions that are N to pi star and pi to pi star transitions, are called as chromophores. Some of the examples are mentioned here. Next is auxochromes. Auxochrome itself are not responsible for gaining energy or absorbing energy, which is UV or visible spectroscopy, but they have the capacity or capability. When attached to a chromophore, they increase the intensity and wavelength of that compound. the functional groups attach to a chromophore, which modifies the ability of the chromophore to absorb light and alters the wavelength or intensity of absorption. In most of the cases, they increase the lambda max of the compound, and they also increase the intensity of the absorption of the EMR. Next, there are 4 type of shifts which are usually seen in UV visible spectroscopy. First one is bathochromic shift, which is also termed as red shift, then hypsochromic shift, also called as blue shift, then hyperchromic shift, and lastly hypochromic shift. First one is bathochromic shift. We can alter the or modify the wavelength or lambda max of a compound by dissolving it in different solvents. It is possible that a compound may have a different lambda max in a solvent, and the same compound may have a different another wavelength in another solvent. So in bathochromic shift, it is basically the shift which is caused when the lambda max shifts towards larger wavelength. When absorption maxima, which is also called lambda max, of a compound shifts to longer wavelength, it is known as bathochromic shift or red shift. The effect is due to the presence of an auxochrome or by the change of solvent. So chromes are responsible for causing bathochromic shift, and also change of solvent also causes bathochromic shift. An example is an auxochrome group like OH or OCH3 causes absorption of a compound at longer wavelength. Next is hypsochromic shift. This is the opposite of red shift, that is the shift of absorption maxima towards shorter wavelength. In alkaline medium, para-nitrophenol shows red shift because negatively charged oxygen delocalizes more effectively than the unshared pair of electrons. The example is mentioned here. Firstly, the lambda max of para-nitrophenol was 255 nanometer, and it was shifted to 265 nanometer, which is a shift of wavelength. Next is hypsochromic shift, which is due to the shift of absorption maxima towards shorter wavelength. That is, when absorption maxima or lambda max of a compound shifts to shorter wavelength, it is called as hypsochromic shift or blue shift. This effect is caused due to the presence of an group which causes removal of conjugation or by the change of solvent. So basically, conjugation is something which introduces the increase in wavelength of a compound. So aniline, an example is aniline shows blue shift in acidic medium. It loses conjugation. Here is an example of aniline. The lambda max is shifted from 280 nanometer to 265 nanometer. Next is hyperchromic shift, which is increase in intensity of absorption of EMR. When absorption intensity of a compound is increased, it is known as hyperchromic shift, and if auxochrome is introduced to the compound, the intensity of the absorption increases. We can see the pyridine. In pyridine, the lambda max is 257 nanometer, and when we introduce a methyl group to the compound, the lambda max is shifted to 260 nanometer. Lastly, we have hypochromic shift, which is decrease in intensity of absorption. An example is naphthalene, and when a methyl group is introduced to it, the absorption and intensity of the compound has been decreased. This is a graphical representation of these 4 types of shifts. Hyperchromic shift, which is increase in intensity of absorption of EMR. Hypochromic shift, which is the opposite, decrease in intensity of EMR absorption. Then red shift, also called as bathochromic shift, which is the shift of absorption maxima towards longer wavelength. And finally, blue shift. which is also called as hypsochromic shift, or the shift which is caused when absorption maxima is shifted towards shorter wavelength. Thank you so much.